Here we are on location in Raleigh, North Carolina for this week's Quick Start Real Estate School filming. Oh, come on in, Brian. Filming this week's Ask Ron.
Yes, we are.
And we have special guests. Ron, introduce the special guests.
This is my older, more mature brother, David. And he lives in Winston-Salem, so he decided to drop in on me unannounced. And I see him about every year or so. And what I usually see him for is in October when he squashes apples and I go up and mooch some apple juice off of him, which is great, by the way. I mean, juice right out of the apples.
It's called cider.
Cider?
Yeah.
It's called cider.
Whatever. Right. In fact, Dave's been buying real estate since 1982 when he came down to Florida and started buying it. But, you know, he's not the kind of real estate investor you want to be because he only buys one when he needs some money. And you know, you probably want to do it more often than that. All right? But this guy, I swear, you wouldn't believe his house. Man, I can't remember all the stuff you got. You got a pizza shop there, got a chalkboard shop there, you got a iron or metal business there, you got a woodworking business there, he's got a big old sawmill in the backyard, got a bulldozer in the backyard.
Wow.
This is in the middle of a subdivision, so you know, he kind of keeps busy.
I'm in the country and the city.
In the country and the city. Yeah. All right. And you know these two.
The wolf couple.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's get to the point
Wait,
here.
no, I want
Yes, let's start with the first
Who's
question.
the younger brother?
I am.
Okay.
Okay, let's get going. Question number 1
All right.
is from Luke in Georgia.
Hey, Luke in Georgia.
His question is for dealing with Fizbo, who, when presented with the lease option purchase, wish to do a background check, credit check, job history, etc., since they don't know who he is. They want to do all this before leasing the property. Now, he knows that Ron says to ask them if there is any reason they have to not trust him. However, we would take these, Luke says he would take these same precautions and same steps when we would put a tenant buyer in the home if we sublease the property.
That's true.
So what's the difference between them asking us to do what we would ask someone else to do?
Because we don't buy like we sell, do we, Luke? Okay? I can tell you right now, you're not going to be buying from these people. And I would guess that they want all this stuff because they don't have much faith in you, and that's likely because of what's coming out of your mouth, which takes practice. And because I'm telling you, I don't know this for sure, but I'm sure you probably created your own problem because that is very rare. And so now how are you going to handle it? The answer is I'm not leasing your house. My corporation is. And nobody checks my credit, and if that's a requirement with you, I guess I'm just not your buyer. Can you do that, Luke? Because that's what you better learn to do. But honestly, what you ought to do is ask yourself, what am I saying to make these people want to ask me that question and see if you can't work on fixing it?
Yeah, that's a huge part of the introduction of every call is your ability to establish your credibility. And so what you say in the beginning and who you tell them you are, we call that your real estate investor bio. If you have credibility there, this stuff doesn't come up. But if this does come up, you should have your Gold Club website and you should be able to refer them to that. A lot of times that's your best objection answer. Hey, have you seen our website yet? Go check that out and I'll call you later. And sometimes they'll go and check it out and sometimes they won't, but that will give you a lot of credibility.
Okay.
You have any input on that?
The bottom line is who's in control.
Yep.
Who's in control?
Who's in control? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So Luke has another part to his question.
Okay.
His other part is related to ejectment law. He says he recently spoke to 2 attorneys in his local market who said the judges have decided to view an option fee attached to the lease agreement as equitable interest in the property. And therefore, if the tenant buyer defaults, the only recourse is ejectment, not eviction. This had caused me hesitation in doing lease options.
Luke, what state is he in?
I was just going to say.
He's in Georgia.
Okay.
Georgia.
Okay, well, you better tell me the difference between the ejection and eviction. Number one, I don't know the difference. Either way, they're getting out of the house. That is the point, isn't it? So, I don't know what you're concerned about, to tell you the truth. Whatever they call it, you're still getting them out. What's the problem? If you have the answer, identify it, and send it back to us so we can intelligently comment on it.
Okay,
But hey, it's a good thing that the attorney said that the option deposit is yours, and that your only remedy in any case is to put them out of the house. And you're not going to do that as long as they're paying the rent. Well, you can, but you can't just tell them to move unless they're in default and then keep their option deposit. You're only going to keep their option deposit if they don't pay the rent.
And don't let that stop you from doing what you want to do.
No, okay?
Yeah.
Well, your attorneys are probably right. It's just that they call it something different than eviction, that's all.
Yeah, I've never.
okay. So the next question is from Delna Gray in Maryland. Hi, Delna.
Huh?
She says, I have a seller financing deal with a possible $50,000 rehab.
Okay?
What is the best exit strategy to get the rehab money back out of the house and still sell the property on a lease purchase? Seller financing strategy or something you suggest? The purchase price of the house is $125,000. The rehab is $50,000. The ARV is $275,000. There's no mortgage. Taxes are in arrears of $3,074.
All right. Does the purchase price have to be all cash, or is there terms?
That is not in the details here from Delna.
So what happens when you guys ask us half questions? Just like attorneys, you get half answers. Garbage in, garbage out, okay? Because it makes a big difference. Because if it's cash, I gotta go get a private loan, and my exit is going to be to put a lease option tenant buyer in it, or even sell it with owner financing, as is, not fix it. You do not want to fix this house. So what if I'm taking over a debt or the seller's financing it? That makes it a real easy deal. I just go ahead and close on it as is and put it on the market. Of course, I'm going to get 3 or 4 months before my first payment's due, so that even takes off my back. I'm telling you right now, you offer the market a good enough deal, and they'll scoop this thing up. Okay, you say it needs 50 in work. I don't know if that's true or not, but you got a big gap in that. So if it truly is worth 275, we're on the market for 225 as is. Watch how fast they come get it. Or even 200 maybe. But excuse me. There's still a great big old gap in it. But again, if you got to fund it with private money, it's going to make it a little bit more complicated, but not all that much. Just go find the private money.
And like Ron said, don't forget when you get an ugly house to ask if the seller will do financing. And
Yeah.
that's what we don't know here.
I'd go back and try to shorten the term. Change the deal. But you don't need a long term on this thing. I mean, even if they give you a couple of years,
Right,
that means you just give a little less than a couple of years to your buyer,
right.
and then you collect the deposit from them. And even with those conditions, with that big a spread in it, offering a good deal, I'd at least want 20-25 down. Wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so the next question is from Chris in Texas.
Chris
Okay.
in Texas.
Is there a workaround for equity to own program for those of us doing business in Texas?
Yep. You can't lease purchase in Texas, so you just buy with owner financing and you sell with owner financing.
Yes. Now, here's the deal on this. Now, some of you guys in Texas hate the fact that you feel like you're not getting the value of the appreciation in the property because you're selling it on owner financing. That's true if you're selling on long-term owner financing. You can actually sell on owner financing and set the balloon at 12 months. And just, not that they're going to finish the financing at that point, but you'll refinance them at that point. If you're worried that the market is appreciating and you're not getting some of the value that you want, that's a remedy, but probably 2 years is within the range, that you could set it at a 2-year balloon
All right,
in Texas.
all right. The next question is from Charles in Arizona.
Arizona.
He has a simple
I don't
question.
know anybody in Arizona. Excuse me.
Charles asks,
Hi, Charles.
is it possible to offer terms to a seller that has a reverse mortgage?
Oh, there you go,
Check it.
honey. Go ahead.
Arizona people.
Guys, when you have a reverse mortgage, that's when somebody, usually an older person, has gotten a mortgage where they don't have to make payments, and in fact, sometimes they're taking equity out of the house every month. The mortgage is actually paying them. So it depends on, you have to ask them what the balance is, and where the mortgage is in, in the process. And you have to talk to them about the terms. This is one where you definitely, I say every time you ever do anything with an underlying mortgage, look at the paperwork and see how this thing is written up.
All right, let me answer this.
But usually,
If
nothing.
it's got a reverse mortgage on it and the bank finds out that they have moved or sold it, they're going to call a loan due. All right? Well, if they sold it, of course, then the loan will be paid off. But if they moved, house is vacant, they're going to call a loan due. So you can offer the seller terms. The seller must be fully aware of that. And you must be prepared in case the bank creates a problem. And I would definitely make this a short-term deal. So if I bought it or leased it from the seller and I put a tenant buyer in there and I only gave him a year to cash me out, that will certainly come to an end before the bank has a chance to do anything, or even could do anything if they decide to move forward. But again, clear disclosure, that definitely do not close this without an attorney.
But remember, banks don't get notified when properties transfer
Nope.
ownership.
Nope.
And people worry about that. They think, oh, the due on sale clause is going to get triggered because the county is going to tell the mortgage company. The mortgage company doesn't get told unless the seller, usually that's
Yeah,
the
gotta
one.
tell the seller to shut up,
Yes,
that's for
that's
sure.
the main one. And that's why you get that letter, and we call it different things, but change of address letter or management letter, where you get them to sign it at the deal meeting so that they know that they don't have any.
Not a management letter in this case.
No, no, not
Well, not in
management,
this
change
case.
of
The bank
address.
finds out you're renting and they call a loan
Yes,
due.
Right.
not that, but
Yeah.
what you're looking for is just a change of address. So
Called
you
change
can
of
all
Okay,
get your correspondence.
next question.
Okay, this is the final question for this week's Ask Ron. And this is from Marc Savage in Florida.
Hey, Mark.
Well, that's a
Hi.
state I know well.
I've heard Ron talking about ordering a title search for $25.
No, I did not.
Since I'm in Florida, I was wondering what title company he's been using.
That was 15.
Mark, what are you watching? My 78s? Huh? Or my VHSs? What are you watching?
Here,
He needs one of those t-shirts.
I actually do pay about $100 for a title search now. I've never paid $25. I don't know where that came from.
And you
All
do
right.
have to find, somebody just asked me this today at the event, was they'd never run title before. And guys, that's the first thing you do once you get a contract on a pretty house. So yes, you need to find somebody on your dream team to run title for you.
And probably should be your attorney because he should close.
Okay, Mark has more to his question.
Sure.
He says, I have 3 lists of 600 each with similar, this is with Yellow Letter campaign. He has 3 lists of 600 each with very similar criteria. Low equity bought within the last 3 years.
Okay?
I was wondering how often to mail the yellow letters to the same list.
Go ahead.
well, we don't do sequential mailings on yellow letters.
Nor do I. Nor do I. There's too many lists out there. I just hit them the first time and let them respond immediately. And that's the only time I'll ever tell you that. Because in the world of direct mail, definitely better do sequential mailings.
That's right.
But in this case, I mean, I got so many people to mail to, I'm not going to just keep sending mail to them if they don't get a response on it the first time. They either want to sell their house or they don't.
So
Yeah.
the short answer is none.
Right.
I want to go back a moment to the previous question. How many houses have you had the bank call loan due on?
That many?
0 for us.
Yeah, I want to make that.
But on
point.
your first one, they will though. They very well might if they find out it's a reverse mortgage. So,
That's why I
All right.
talk to the seller.
All right, so now the final words of wisdom
yep.
from you, from
Me.
Dave. Who has words of
He's the
wisdom?
wise guy, let him
He's
go.
a wise guy.
Dave is,
What's our,
Aw,
From our dad, who pounded into us, never give up. No matter what, never give up. Keep going. Saw his whole carnival leveled one time, and he woke up in the morning and said, "Son, get dressed." And I said, "Why?" "We got to put it all together. We're going to open Saturday." And we opened Saturday.
How about that?
don't give up.
that's
Never give up.
wonderful. Never give up.
All right.
And Ron has lived that truth.
Oh, indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, guys, tune in next week, same time, same channel, and go out there and get something going. And if you're watching this, don't forget we have that April event coming up, Structuring Your Empire, Mastering the Phone. I think it's about full right now, I got to tell you. So we only got a few seats left. Take a look at it because we've got a great deal on it for you right now. It's the last time I'm going to do these events.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're going to be there at the Mastering the Phone, helping that with that.
Yep.
So.
Helping people master the phone.
That's
right.
right.
Okay, see you next week.